Teachers in Oklahoma could be the next group to go on strike over low wages. Yesterday, the 9-day teacher strike in West Virginia came to an end with the promise of a 5% pay raise.
Educators in Oklahoma are the second lowest paid in the U.S., making on average just over $45,000 a year. Omar Villafranca is at White Rock School in Lincoln County, Oklahoma, to tell us why many schools in the area have made the move to a shorter week.
Text features. Text features.
Jelaine Watham teaches second grade at Bridge Creek Public School outside of Oklahoma City. Although teachers in her state make some of the lowest wages in the country, she loves working a shortened 4-day school week.
How has your quality of life changed?
It has allowed that weekend time with my family, but I also really, truly feel like it has made me a better teacher by being purposeful and looking at time management.
210 of the state's schools operate on a 4-day schedule. Many stay-at-home parents we spoke to in this community endorsed the shortened week.
It's just that extra day. You're like, I feel like I have a whole entire day with my kid.
We should not encourage this.
But State Superintendent of Instruction Joy Hoffmeister worries about the long-term impact on students. Oklahoma's public school system requires students to attend at least 180 days or 1,080 hours of school a year. Shortened weeks mean longer days, from 40 minutes to an hour more in some cases.
We are losing valuable time to sustain momentum and grow. Just extending more minutes to the day is not actually the same as having more days in the calendar year.
You came in when funding was in the middle of getting cut.
Correct.
Bridge Creek Superintendent David Morrow says his district cut down the school week to recruit teachers in 2016 amid a statewide teacher shortage due to low pay.
Can you get better teachers with that 4-day school week?
Several years ago when we were on the 5-day school week, and I had three openings at our elementary school and had 4 applicants. Same 3 openings now, and you have 15 to 20 applicants.
The average teaching salary in Oklahoma is the lowest of its neighbors. Teachers in nearby Texas make nearly $7,000 more. Following recent strikes in West Virginia, Oklahoma teachers are now debating a strike of their own.
Are you ready for a possible walkout on April 2nd?
That will be the most difficult decision I had ever made.
You haven't made that decision yet?
I, in my head, can't imagine not being here.
Omar Villafranca, thank you very much. With us now from Lincoln County, Oklahoma, is Superintendent of White Rock Schools, Bob Gragg. Thank you so much for joining us, Superintendent. This 4-day week is rather fascinating. Just how does the 4-day week work in this community?
Here at White Rock, and we call ourselves the home of the modern-day one-room schoolhouse, our community has embraced the 4-day week. Our students have Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, so they have a 3-day weekend with their family. Occasionally, some of the students are here for a Friday field trip. We have an extended day enrichment program, and part of that is once a month Friday field trip. So a lot of options for parents and students, but it's basically a 4-day work week for our students, Monday through Thursday, and Friday through Sunday is a 3-day weekend.
How does that affect parents who might work 5 days a week, Superintendent?
So far, the parents have been over 90% in favor of the 4-day week, which surprised us a little bit, but they really like it, and I think there are enough grandparents and relatives in our community that's not an issue on Fridays. So our kids have things to do at home and someone there with them, and so they like the idea of being in school a little longer, Monday through Thursday, and then having that 3-day weekend.
So the first thing I thought about when I read about this 4-day week was something akin to the summer slide, that as children stay away from school, if they stay away from school long enough, they start to slip back a little. And this is 3 days off away from your homework and teachers. And in Omar's piece, he talks to the state superintendent, who talks about some concerns about breaking the momentum in terms of education. Have you seen an impact on the education for these students?
We've not seen that. This is our second year to do the 4-day week this time around. I understand White Rock was on a 4-day week for about 10 years back in the late 1990s and early 2000s, and they actually did not see a slide backwards in academics. So that would be a concern if we began to see that. Some of the studies that we've read have not indicated a drop-off, which is really kind of amazing. But we are concerned with that, and we'll continue to watch that issue, because if it begins to impact academics in the long run, then we're going to certainly rethink and have a reconversation with our community. But so far, we don't see that happening.
So grade slipping, test score slipping, that would be a rationale to go back to a full week of classes?
Absolutely, it'd be a rationale for sure to have that conversation with our community, and I think they would want to know that as well. And so we'll certainly be looking at that. And the other thing that I think we see is that attendance is a little better with the 4-day week. There are things that can be scheduled on Friday for parents and students and teachers and staff as well. So I think just having that option is a big option, and we've certainly seen it help us to bring in certainly experienced teachers that bring a lot to our classrooms. And we ask a lot of our teachers, being that small school that we are with about 100 students, our teachers wear a lot of hats and do a lot of different things here at White Rock. So we need the best that we can provide.
You mentioned bringing in more experienced teachers. This 4-day week has not actually saved a ton of money, has it? What's the biggest impact?
Not saved a ton of money, a little bit with our transportation, because it's simply less days in the school year, maybe a little bit with utilities. But I did have one teacher that recently told me, just in this conversation, that and we hired her last year in the first year of the 4-day week, that she had choices of more than one job offer in our area, and she chose White Rock because she was intrigued and wanted to try that 4-day week, and is very, very pleased that she did. And I think that's one of the messages. And I think once you start something such as a 4-day schedule for students and parents and staff, that changing back is very difficult. You get into the patterns, you get into the work patterns. We have a lot of parents that work 4 days a week. We're near Tinkerfield, and some of the work schedules at some of the plants in our area are a 4-day work week. So having a 4-day school week is a local community culture that seems to fit very well in White Rock. And having had that 10 years or so previously under prior administration has kind of set that tone, and folks here it's not totally new to the community. So it is a characteristic and a culture and an issue of, in my opinion, democracy at action, where the majority want it. It's a local decision. The local board has embraced it. So, I had never worked with a 4-day week before I came here, so I was a little apprehensive. But I see some great value in a shorter week, more time on task. There are opportunities for our students to do things in a longer day that they might not have time for in a traditional 6-hour day. So those things have been an enhancement as well for our students and our teachers.
Superintendent, as you've obviously seen, many school districts, many states are seeing teachers going on strike. There's a national conversation happening around teacher pay. Many people feel that it's too low, and we say that it sort of feels perennially, but we never really do anything about it. Do you see teachers going on strike soon in Oklahoma?
It happened here in 1990, and I was around then. There was a walkout, and I can see that as being one of the attention getters to bring this issue to the surface. And again, I feel like the surveys show that the majority of our citizens and patrons here in Oklahoma want to see improved schools and education, teacher pay, state employee pay. And we had that opportunity with a program called Step Up Oklahoma that was nonpartisan and went to the state. And of course, our state legislature requires what they call a supermajority, which is 75% of the legislature. In my opinion, that's democracy kind of turned upside down, because what it really becomes is a super minority when 26% of a group can actually control an issue. It's like a supermajority for a bond issue. We recently tried a bond issue at White Rock. It had 55% in favor, but we require a supermajority of 60%, which means really a super minority of 41% can control, and in our case 45% controlled. And if we took that principle of democracy to a candidate level, there'd be very few office holders anywhere that would hold office if they had to have a super majority and their opponent could defeat them with a super minority. That's democracy turned upside down, and we're seeing I think folks say, hey, we want to make some changes. So I think it will have a huge impact. Our concern would be the opposite, would be to also consider that if we miss testing days or we have to do makeup into June for our parents and schedules and our staff and our students, kind of a little bit of a mixed feeling, but we do support the efforts to increase teacher pay.
Yeah, it's a delicate dance. Certainly, teachers should be paid more. A lot of people in this country feel that. On the other hand, as we saw in West Virginia, kids weren't getting their breakfast, they weren't getting their lunches. It put a real strain on families and the kids themselves. So a conversation that we'll continue to have. Superintendent Bob Gragg, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for being here at White Rock with us.
We appreciate it.